All right.
Doesn't say we're live.
No, it says we're live.
Okay, not for me, but I trust
Oh
you.
my
Yeah, we're
gosh,
live. All right.
everything's going wrong with your Wi-Fi early.
Only going good with the Sixers.
Yep, everything's fine. All right.
You ready?
3, 2, 1.
I'll never get why we can get the first
I know.
one, but
it's so bad. It's so bad. Welcome on in. It's a new edition of the Clap Your Hands podcast presented by Coors Light. I am Jack Fritz along with Elliot Short-Parks as the Sixers save the season. I mean, what a basketball game. It was so process-y. Like, it felt so process-y. All these kind of backup, Max is out there, sure. Buddy Hield's out there, sure. But, man, it felt like a good old-fashioned process Sixers win against a red-hot, smoking-hot Cavs team who clearly thought they could just roll the basketball out and win a basketball game tonight. Regardless, Elliot, how you doing, pal?
Man, I needed that one. I needed that one. And I probably feel like a lot of fans needed that one. The last time we recorded this pod, me and you were talking about trading Embiid, trading Maxey, tanking for the season. It felt like after that trade deadline, the emotion was very low. And then they come out, they get smoked in the next game. They beat the Wizards, who, whatever, it's a win. They needed it. But this tonight right here is what they needed. We're going to get into how sustainable it is and the Kyle Lowry signing and all those things. And, the stretch they have coming up is really hard. But, man, they needed that win. They were 10-point underdogs going into it. If they would have gone out tonight and not been competitive, Maxey, had another clunker, maybe Buddy wasn't as good as he's been in the first few games, it would have just been so demoralizing. It would have sucked to watch them go to Cleveland and, play how they did against Golden State and Brooklyn and Atlanta and those type of games. So I think I really needed that just to have faith in the season again, or at least get back on the right track of believing. And what's weird is they needed it, but what stood out to me tonight, I'm curious if you had the same takeaway, is while they were clearly much more talented than what the process Sixers ever were, I almost feel like they had a similar attitude of they don't know what they don't know. Buddy Hield doesn't know he's not supposed to be the number one option in a win over the Cavs. B-Ball Paul going up and blocking Donovan Mitchell. Kelly Oubre shooting that ridiculous three-pointer and making it. Ricky Council making those 2 free throws to help clinch it. It feels like when I watch this team and that group of players, all of them have confidence they could drop 30 or 40 points. I don't think almost any of them could besides Maxey and Buddy, but they have the confidence they can do it. And I thought that showed tonight. They looked like a bunch of guys that were not intimidated whatsoever about going and playing the hottest team in the NBA.
Yeah, and I don't know why. It was so weird. It was just
right.
That they all decided tonight to be you know what? I'm going to almost maximize myself.
Because they looked so lifeless the last few games.
It did. And they won down in Washington, and that was good. But Elliot, I don't have this stat in front of me. But I am pretty sure.
My favorite stats.
I'm pretty sure I've never seen the Sixers lose to the Wizards.
It does feel that way. Yeah.
At least this modern, competitive. I don't think I've ever seen them lose to the Wizards. So it's I actually don't think I can physically watch another Wizards basketball game.
They're bad. They're
bad. They are one of the teams in sports where I don't think they have a chance to ever win a title. The Wizards will never be in the finals. I'm convinced of that.
I agree with that. I would be stunned if the Wizards are ever in an Eastern Conference final.
But it was insane watching that team tonight because they all Kelly Oubre was just okay, I'm going to hit mid-range jumpers. I'm going to hit ridiculous threes. I'm going to drive to the rim. Buddy Hield's you know what? I'm basically Steph Curry, if not better.
He plays like it.
I mean, he is not shy of shooting the basketball. Ricky Council, it was weird. It was weird. It was good. I'm glad they got it. They needed a game like that because they could easily be dude, this is a waste of time without Embiid. What tonight did for me was make me excited about Embiid's return. And
yeah.
I don't think we'll get into Lowry a little bit later, but I don't think Lowry signs here if he doesn't get at least a good indication that Embiid is going to be back and at least play meaningful minutes. But tonight, seeing Buddy Hield do that, seeing some of these guys do that, it starts to make you dream a little bit on what they could look like when Joel is back.
Well, so Daryl Morey said something at his press conference after the trade deadline about how, when they have Embiid, he feels they have the deepest team in the playoffs, like the playoff rotation. And we could certainly debate that. Like there are other deep teams in the league. But tonight, it looked like it. Like I think Kelly had 24, Maxey had over 20, Buddy had over 20. I'd have to look. I mean, there was a bunch of guys in the teens. Like they really shared the ball around. And it looked like they were all extremely confident. And to your point about getting Embiid back, you could see how it'll fit. Now, it will be different, right? Because right now they're not feeding the offense through one player. They're not focusing on making sure one guy gets the ball. They're able to kind of all go out and just do their own thing. But when Embiid comes back, you can see the complementary pieces. And they didn't have Toby tonight. They didn't have Nicholas Batum. Like they didn't have Melton still. So they're still missing 3 guys that were in their starting rotation before, which is impressive, to still go out and play like that. But yeah, I thought tonight, like Buddy really stepped up when they needed him. Maxey missed that free throw. Maxey got lucky. He got fouled before he threw the ball away. But overall, yeah, when you look at the depth of this team, and the thing I kept thinking, this might be a little before your time, but do you remember the like PlayStation game NBA Street?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I love that game. Like Street 1, Street 2, like I actually think it'd be really cool if how they did in that game where if you go and you beat a team, you get to pick a player from that team to keep with you. That would be a wild thing to do in the NBA. It would be extremely fun, but it would be wild. But regardless, it looked to me like a team that would be so fun to play with on Street. Like they're long, they're athletic, they have 3-point shooters. B-Ball Paul would be like the perfect NBA Street player ever. And like he had that big block tonight, had some big putbacks. He had that nice layup where he like drove and like went almost like up and under. Like it was the most athletic I've ever seen a Sixers team look in my lifetime. Like obviously not the best Sixers team. Like the 0-1 Sixers weren't this athletic. Like I don't think they've ever been this athletic under Embiid. The process Sixers weren't that athletic. The team that had Iggy with like Evan Turner and Spencer Hawes, like they weren't that athletic. The team they put out there tonight, all of them were. They were long. They could shoot. Like it was like a version of Sixers basketball we don't get to watch often.
No, dude, it was the process Sixers. Like it was, it's like the
but better, but like the process Sixers 2.0,
the Monstars version of the process Sixers. Yes. Because that's what like the funniest part about the game, like. I don't think I've laughed at a sporting event, but I feel like I was just laughing watching the game tonight because it's amazing how many guys he acquired or like have brought together in this team that just have insane irrational confidence in their abilities.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like Kelly Oubre, when he starts like thinking, okay, I could score 30 tonight, it's like get out of the way and hand me the basketball. Buddy Hield, same way. Buddy's like, I'm gonna hit 5 threes tonight, just and get out of my way. Paul Reed, when he makes a basket, thinks it's gonna be his night.
Paul Reed thinks he's the best player on the court every time he's out
every single time he steps foot on the basketball court. Ricky Council 100% thinks he is like
he's top 5 untouchable Sixer.
Yeah, and then there's Campaign, who I don't like watching play basketball because there was 3 possessions tonight where he just made a beeline for the rim, and it was like 16 seconds left in the shot clock. It's like pass the basketball, just move it a little bit. Like you're not an ISO guy. But the funniest part about I don't know how Maxey and Buddy Hield had 9 and 8 assists collectively because it literally felt like they did not move the basketball it was either Oubre was taking it to the rim, Maxey was taking it to the rim, Hield was shooting a 3. Like I felt like the basketball when it stuck on guys and they just were like, nope, this is my possession. I'm going to turn it into Kobe. It was an insane basketball game. But one of the things that I had as a takeaway, and I think it's going to be something to monitor until Embiid gets back, is like Buddy looks like he has the alpha in him, and
Agreed.
it was wild for now. Maxey went on a good run when Buddy was out of the game, and it was like, okay, here's Maxey, but it felt like he was conceding to Buddy, And I think that's interesting. Like 3 games into the Buddy experience, Maxey should not really be doing that because he's supposed to be the second best player on the team, and to rely on Buddy in that instance, I don't think is going to lead to like a ton of fantastic results. But it felt like he was just deferring, like, okay, well, this is Buddy's thing now, and that alphaness to Maxey might not be there.
So it's interesting. I think that's a good point. When Buddy showed up for his first game with the Sixers, I almost thought he had this vibe about him, and I like it. Like, I don't mean it as a insult to him, but almost like someone that's getting traded to one of the worst teams in the league from a good team. And he's like, all right, I'm here now. Like, I'm gonna be the guy. And I thought he had that vibe early on when he played, and I thought he definitely had it tonight. Now, you tweeted this, and I think it's a good point. Like, it looked like the Buddy from Oklahoma, and I think Buddy feels like by being traded. By the way, Buddy Buckets by Kate Scott. Great nickname. Wow. I'm in on Buddy.
It felt like an ode to you.
Yeah, no, I think Kate Scott was thinking of me when she said that. But it felt, I think Buddy came to the Sixers with the feeling of, I am here to be like the guy. And I think you're right. Like, it's a good observation. When he's out on the court, he's the alpha. Like, he has the ball and he's like, this is my team. I'm the best player in offense. I'm the one they're relying on to score. And Maxey is kind of stepping back. Now, part of that is that, Maxey has been the primary ball handler, at least still has a lot of that responsibility. So maybe he's trying to just let Buddy do his thing. My concern is, how long can Buddy keep this up? Like, he does shoot a lot of threes, so that's not going to go away. But it feels like he's playing a little above his head right now. And I think as they go on this stretch that's coming up, and when teams really start to key in on Buddy, that is when Maxey is then going to have to step up. But you're right. Like, Buddy came to the Sixers with the vibe of almost like a varsity player going to a JV player of, I'm the best guy here. I'm here to be the main guy. And it's kind of what they needed, because one problem I think the Sixers are going to have is right now they have a ton of guys who are like really solid players that, like, around a great player are perfect. Like, it's like Daryl Morey said, the depth on this team is good, but it feels like they don't have that guy. And that's what you miss with Embiid. Like tonight, the Cavs, they had Donovan Mitchell. Like they had someone you could lean on. Buddy is willing to step into that role, but I don't know if Buddy can do it for 5, 10, 15 games until Embiid comes back. But he seems willing to at least try, and I think that's a really good quality and something they needed.
Yeah, I mean, he will. I mean, Buddy will go down shooting. I believe that will be the case. But I also don't think it's like super sustainable from the standpoint of like all of a sudden now he's going to break out at this. It feels like a 3-game, 5-game run. Yeah. A part of a new team, and Maxey will go back to, I think, kind of dominating things. And it felt like late in the game, he's like, all right, like he had that really nice little step back jumper that I sort of like. It looked like he basically jumped or he sprinted to the spot while holding the basketball. Where it's like,
yeah, the one, late in the game, yeah. He creates so much separation with that. It's impressive. Like he really gets a lot of space on those like baseline jumpers.
It's probably the biggest thing that James Harden brought to the Sixers and left a mark on this basketball team was the Tyrese Maxey little step back jumper. But I think your new co-host, our former boss, new colleague Spike Eskin tweeted this, and I was thinking like Maxey does take a long time to get the ball up the court, and I wonder if that's something he picked up from Harden. Like Harden was always very slow bringing it up, and Maxey, it does feel, I thought it was a good observation by Spike, Maxey does like not cross the halfway line until like 17 seconds or whatever. Well, that's good because he's only known as like the fastest player in the NBA.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's like a bad habit he's picked up.
Yeah, well, you know who has no problem bringing the basketball up and rushing into everything? Campaign. Yeah, Campaign has.
Right. I have a campaign thought, but you go first.
No, well, what's your campaign thought?
Okay, so last time we did this pod, I was very critical of the Sixers, very critical of Daryl Morey. Like he punted on the season, and it looks like Daryl might have been right and I might have been wrong. Like last time I said I had egg on my face because I thought the Sixers would compete. Now I might have egg on my face because I was wrong about the trade deadline. So this might just be a common occurrence on the pod.
Well, what do you feel like you were so wrong about the trade
deadline?
Okay,
this is what I'm going to say. I think Buddy is obviously like a very good acquisition. Like we'll see what he does in the playoffs, and I do think Buddy has like some loser player vibes to him, but he is what they needed right now. Someone that's going to come in, shoot, be the man, like carry the offense. And, the thing in Cam Payne has played like decent, but where I was going with this is I'm not throwing the towel in on the idea that trading Pat Bev for Cam Payne was a mistake. Like Cam Payne, man, I can't get down with Cam Payne. Like, and also the name itself is,
you say it fast. You say it fast. Yeah. It's like, what kind of campaign am I?
Exactly, right. Maybe I'll just call him Cam or Payne. Like,
well, that's and I said this on the air. So I was saying campaign over and over and over again, and Ike was getting thrown off. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Exactly, that's right.
But it was also I was catching myself because the week before I said, like, who is the 2024 season moron? Is it moron Hurts or Howie? And I kept saying it so fast, it sounded like I was calling them morons. Like,
nice.
It was 2024 moron.
Nice.
Hurts or Howie.
It's almost like we talk for a living.
I know, too fast. But like my problem with campaign is this. Is like he's gonna have games.
Again, it just sounds so much like it.
I know, dude. But
it really does.
It's like one of those names where you have to say the full name. You know what I mean? Like there's some of those names where it's like you gotta say it. Like James Jackson. I feel like James Jackson, you gotta say.
I agree with that. So like, what's Cam's full name? Is it just Cam?
Probably Cameron.
I get Cameron. Yep, there you go. All right.
It's
kind of clock at night.
Breaking news here on the Clap Your Hands podcast. Cameron Payne's full name is Cameron Payne.
Nailed that.
He just, there's basketball players the types of players that drive me crazy, and he just fits the mold of a guy who's just gonna shoot it all the time, not gonna move the basketball. Like he'll have games where he's hot, and it's like, oh man, that's so fun. But I just feel like he'll get some foul calls and whatever. He doesn't add much to winning basketball. And
I agree.
I look forward to when Kyle Lowry gets back, or Kyle Lowry eventually gets here, because I think is Lowry and Beverly kind of a cancel out, basically?
So I think, all right, again, this is like, I'll be completely honest. Like, I am still holding on to a lot of like anger and begrudgingness from how they handled the trade deadline. But I think if I remove emotion from that, like Kyle Lowry is probably better than Pat Bev. Kyle Lowry started 35 games this year for the Heat. He shoots almost 40% from three. He's been big in playoff games. I think he's a better, like I would probably rather have Lowry on the court for the final 2 minutes of a game 7 than Pat Bev.
Yes.
But I also have to be honest with myself. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I thought Kyle Lowry was so washed that I would have had no interest. And when the Sixers played Heat 2 years ago, like I was praying that Kyle Lowry would play because I thought he was so washed. So this might be a case, and I'm a big stat guy, as the people will tell you. This might be the case of looking at the box score and the stats and saying, he doesn't look that bad. But he is washed to me. Like Pat Bev brought a ton of juice and a ton of like energy. Kyle Lowry might bring those same things, but I'm just curious to watch Kyle Lowry play. Like tonight did not look like a Kyle Lowry game. They were fast. They were athletic. Like they were shooting a bunch of threes. And Kyle Lowry does shoot threes, but he's not fast. He's not athletic. Like he's a slow the ball down guy, which in the playoffs will help. But tonight it was hard for me to picture him in this kind of game.
Yeah, but I also think that, when you get into the bigger games, and hopefully Embiid gets back and he's fine, like having a guy that can kind of calm everyone down and be a veteran presence. And listen, hopefully he's not cooked. I mean, the one thing that worries me is the Heat are like, we're good. You know what I mean? I feel like the Heat give up on a player. It's like, that's not usually the best sign. Now they were able to get Rozier and whatever. So I think I would rather still have had Pat Bev, just from the standpoint of defense, toughness, and
this feels like an emotional decision by us, and not like Kyle Lowry brings a lot of what Pat Bev brings. Like he does. Like Pat Bev does. He doesn't have the
defensively though. Like
not defensively. I agree with that. Not defensively, but he is like an annoying, smallish guard that like has that kind of same Pat Bev like personality. He's from Philly. Like I think that matters. I don't know, man. Like
no, dude, Pat Bev's more of a Philly guy than
215-592. I mean, Lowry did go to Nova. So.
I know, so that doesn't count. If he was a real Philly guy, it's Temple or St. Joe's.
Well, not St. Joe's. It's Temple.
Well, Jameer Nelson went there. So
yeah, but it's more St. Joe's is more Philly than Nova. But I guess the main line.
All I'm saying is this: is that no local basketball team. This is all the Nova runs. I wasn't around for the 80s, 90s, Temple, whatever.
You missed what a day those were.
There has never been a college basketball team that is connected with the city more than the 04 St. Joe's Hawks. Like,
I agree with that. They were also probably the best team.
More than the 16 Cats. Definitely more than the 18 Cats. The 04 Hawks, easily the most legendary college basketball team in the history of this city of my lifetime.
I 100% agree with you on that. And this is a Temple guy. I didn't think we'd be talking, Palestra Big Five basketball tonight. Well, but yeah, 04 St. John. They were.
When people think of the Big Five,
Jameer Nelson was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Dude, they were undefeated. Yeah. They lost. Who did they lose
to? Was it Boston College?
Oklahoma State.
I could have sworn they lost to Jared Dudley in Boston College. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that was their first loss of the regular season. Or no, they went undefeated.
No, they were undefeated. It might have been Boston College. I don't know. But I thought it was Oklahoma State.
I feel like James will know. He'll
I would say, and also the LaSalle team with the Southwest Philly floater, that might clear the 2016 game.
Yeah, actually, it definitely does. You're right. Is Nova a top 5 basketball school in the city?
Exactly right.
All right, we're just trolling James at this point.
I know. Well, listen, I think it's important for our audience to understand the depth of Big Five knowledge and basketball takes that we have.
Good point.
And
That's why they hired us.
Being able to flex on our Big Five knowledge, and people definitely appreciate that.
I have a few more takes from the Cavs game. Yeah. I have one or two more takes from this game. Ricky Council, man. I'm in on Ricky Council. And I was like, when they signed him in a previous iteration of Clap Your Hands, like I was big time Ricky Council, big time Turk Smith. Like you can go back and check the tape. Ricky Council to me, like stepping up and hitting those free throws, I think was such like a massive moment and such like a look into who he is as a player. The game was slipping away. They had control, or I wouldn't say they had control for most of it, but they were up 10, I think, with like a minute and a half to go. It looked like they were pretty comfortably going to win the game. It's completely slipping away. Buddy throws, by the way, talk about a losing basketball player. Buddy throws the ball away and then fouls Donovan Mitchell. Like the worst thing you could possibly do. But then Ricky goes to the line and he just nails both like super calmly, not to mention Maxey then steps up and doesn't. He misses one. But I think like we didn't do a pod after the Washington game when he had, I think 19 and 12. And 10. 19 and 10. Like, I think they really have something here with him. And I think, the confidence to go up and hit those 2 free throws is such like a good indication as to who he is as a player. I remember last year in the playoffs when B-Ball Paul hit those free throws. And I know we've been kind of up and down on B-Ball Paul, but B-Ball Paul is like an NBA player. He might not be a starter on a contender, but he is a legit NBA player. To sign Ricky Council as an undrafted free agent, basically, if I remember correctly, that or like late second round.
No, undrafted.
Yeah, undrafted. That's what I thought. It's a great one by Morey. We talked on the last pod about what are kind of the out of the box or like not expected things Morey has done that has worked out. Ricky might be one of them, and he still has a way to go. But to hit those 2 free throws, to do it against Washington, he looks like he belongs out there. He attacks the basket with confidence. He's athletic. Like I'm in on Ricky Council.
So I'm not going to call him Ricky because I think that does indicate there's another Sixers podcast.
I know. I was thinking. You think a good nickname for him could be the Ricky though?
The Ricky. I might just call him Rick. Rick Council.
What about the fourth? Yeah. What about the fourth?
Yeah, I wish I could pull off the fourth. Jack Fritz the fourth. It feels like it adds a level of respect to a name that.
Well, it is crazy. I believe his dad and both of his brothers are named Ricky.
Yeah. Well, how else would it be the fourth? Oh wait.
Well, I don't know. It could be like him, his dad, his grandpa, and his great grandpa or something.
Oh wait, so it's all his brothers?
I think so. I believe the dad is Ricky, and then the three brothers are Ricky 2, 3, and 4. I could be wrong, but I'll look it up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. How do you feel about the second, the third, like?
Well, I've never heard it in like the brother.
Yeah, whole family's Ricky Council.
Like they're all named. I've always thought it was lineage. I didn't think it was all one family.
So Council's 2 older brothers are also named after his father, Ricky Council. So Ricky Council, the original, is the dad. Ricky Council 2 is the brother. Ricky Council 3 also played college basketball, and now Ricky the 4th. Fun fact: James is a second.
James is a second. Now, when does it go from second to a junior? You know what I mean?
I think I'd rather be a second than a junior.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Could you imagine Could you imagine you being Elliot Shorr-Parks Jr.?
Or like the second? I don't like. There'll only ever be one Elliot Shorr-Parks. I can promise you that.
Thank God.
Yeah, the chat's agreeing.
No, but Rick Council. so when they're going up, or
I like
was
Rick.
Was it just your hey number 3?
Yeah.
Hey, the 4th.
Yeah.
So he seems like a guy that like the Heat would sign.
Yep.
And it would develop into something. Now his shot has to come along. I think you're going a little bit too far on him this year. Yes, I think you are.
I mean, dude, he played big minutes tonight in a game against the hottest team in the NBA. Like, I don't think he's going to get playoff minutes, but it's not like, he's playing 4 minutes a game. Like, he played and had big moments today against a good team.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to sniff the court in a playoff series yet.
No,
but
I
think he is a good developmental prospect. Turk will have to work on the jumper a little bit more. I know it's like his thing, but if your only thing's gonna be shooting the 3, like I pretty much need you to bury him. And
so here's a take. You ready? I think Maxey is closer to Turk than he is Embiid. Like I think Turk can basically be Maxey.
What the hell
does
that mean?
Like I'm saying, like Maxey is not what Embiid does. Like Embiid is a number one guy on a great team. I think Turk is more of like Maxey is more of Turk, and I think Turk can become Maxey, like an elite 3-point shooter, not afraid to shoot the ball. Like I see Maxey being closer to Turk than
Turk
I do.
Smith can barely play. Okay, he can barely play in the NBA. He can't dribble. He might
be better than Maxey was as a rookie.
He's not better than Maxey. Dude,
Maxey barely played as a rookie and couldn't shoot.
That's not true. He hung like 40 in a game where Embiid didn't play against.
I think you're thinking of
the Nuggets.
I don't think that was as a rookie, but I'll check.
Dude,
you can talk while I check.
Let me deep breaths on Turk Smith.
Why?
Because
they both looked awesome. I honestly think
they're look good. Did he do anything tonight? What are you talking about?
Not Turk. I'm saying Ricky.
I know, but you're talking about Turk.
They get lumped together.
About as good as Maxey, which all
right. Maxey's rookie season, he averaged 8 points and he shot 30% from 3.
Pretty good. Well, some of us have to have the eye. But yes, Ricky Council. I just think that he's a guy that the Heat would develop, and Turk could develop into something. I don't think I'm ready to trade Maxey and hand the keys to the franchise over to him.
No, I'm not either, but I see some qualities there.
That's good. I'm proud of you for that. But it was just I don't know. It was a really really positive, fun win. The Kyle Lowry thing. The more and more you go through it, I mean, Buddy Hield they essentially got for 3 second-round picks, which at this point is looking pretty good. They got all those picks back with the trades they made. Like, I was a Jaden Springer fan from the standpoint of like I thought he was doing a good job locking down some good players. The jumper's really ugly, but like in 2 years,
he's bad on offense.
Maybe he could be something. Like at least being able to see Ricky Council play his minutes has made up for it from the standpoint of maybe there's something there. Defensively, he's not there, but like maybe there's something there with him. So basically, they traded 3 seconds for Buddy Hield. They pretty much got him back in the deals, and they're able to add Kyle Lowry. I think Cam Payne is mostly a net negative, but Buddy and Kyle Lowry
are net positive.
It's not a terrible deadline. I mean, is it good enough to, get past the second round? I don't know. And like, I guess Morey's right from the standpoint of Buddy might have been the best player traded at the deadline, but also no one got traded at the deadline.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like that line from Morey really cut deep because it's very true. And I think it's like really, really good spin, but not a lot of good players got traded.
Well, because you know what it was, Elliot, and I think why it hit you that way.
Yeah.
Is because that's what you do to people.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, he is the older version of me. So.
I know. I'm glad that people are starting to pick up on that.
Yeah, slowly. 2 basketball guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like, so we haven't talked since Morey's press conference. I do think Morey coming out and saying it's all about this year. We think Joel's coming back. We feel good about that. But he was the best player we traded for that was traded at the deadline. We think we have the deepest rotation in the NBA. Basically admitting like Jaden Springer wasn't going to help them and they think a second round pick to trade was more valuable. I kind of started to turn there. Like if we would have recorded the pod after Daryl Morey spoke, my initial reaction on the pod about the trade deadline probably would have been a little different. I really think I got wrapped up like a lot of fans did just about being so disappointed they traded Pat Bev and so disappointed they didn't acquire a star. But Daryl Morey made good points. Like I think that, maybe they are not punting on the air the way that we thought because getting a rental player in Buddy, like they need Buddy. Like I want to go over the schedule with you in a few minutes because I think like it's this upcoming schedule is super tough. But if they didn't have Buddy tonight, like they lose the last two games for sure. Like if he doesn't decide to go get a rental of a player, and he might not be a rental, maybe he resigns, but someone that's not on the books after this year, they have probably lost every single game since Embiid's out.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost the best of both worlds. Like I didn't want them to invest and trade a lot of trade away first round picks and assets to go in and think this team could really go on a deep run because you don't know the future of Embiid. But they also got a player that they needed for when Embiid does come back. I mean, Redick probably played the best of his career next to Embiid, and Seth Curry never looked as good as he did here when it was him and Embiid. Now you go from those two guys to Buddy, who I think Buddy can handle the ball better than certainly Redick and Seth.
I think he's better than both of them. Redick, you could argue, is a better shooter, but Buddy has the stats to back up that he's just as good as Redick.
Oh, man.
And to your point,
second most threes in basketball since he entered the league.
Yeah. And no, look, I mean, like he does handle the ball way better than Redick. You're right. What's funny? When you first said Redick, my mind was still like Hassan Redick Eagles. Yeah. But I was curious where you were going with that.
He had a good run as a pass rusher.
Former Eagle Hassan Reddick. Yeah.
Former Eagle Hassan Reddick.
Well, it's funny. There was a commercial tonight. They were like, it was a Sixers commercial, and they had Hassan Reddick, ringing the bell. And I was thinking, might need to edit that one.
Yeah, get that one out. Man, I mean, hold on. Think of it, Hassan Reddick comes home, might be gone within 2 years. Marcus Morris, keys to the city, traded within
out of here
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Kyle Lowry
might be here for like 40 games, but
might be here for 40 games.
So do you want to get into Lowry a little more now? Because I have some thoughts. All right. So do you think Lowry's going to start, when they're all healthy? No.
I don't think you should.
You don't think you make him the primary ball handler? You have Maxey play off ball, like Buddy, Batum. Oh, I guess Toby. But I don't know. I mean, like Melton might just.
How refreshing was it not having Toby in that game tonight?
Dude, honest to God, during the game, I was legit thinking, I wonder if they'd buy out Toby. They won't, but I don't know, man. It was nice to watch the team without Toby. And I always feel bad being critical of Toby. But
breath of fresh air.
It was nice not having him out there. Do they win that game if Toby's out there?
I don't know. I mean,
Toby
has been a part of some wins before, and he generally plays better when Embiid isn't there.
So I probably agree with you that Lowry's not going to start, but I do think
you can't play that many minutes, or else you're not going to get anything from him. Lowry should not play more than 20 minutes a night.
All right, so let's view it this way: is Lowry on the court? It's Game 7. They're playing Boston. There's 4 minutes to go. Is Lowry on the court?
In an ideal world, yes. But again, I know this is going to sound like a cop-out, but I have to see if he can play still.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Sure, Kyle Lowry 3 years ago, he's starting and whatever. It's just they're getting him as a buyout. For some reason, he played 28 minutes a night for that Heat team. Maybe if they get him down to 15, 20 minutes a night and keep him fresh for that point, sure. Having a guy with his experience late in the game would be great. It's just I need to watch him play first to see if he's cooked. And I don't think starting him. And sure, I know that there was reports of they want him Maxey to be off the basketball. That you can want that all you want. I mean, him and Buddy are essentially sharing bringing the ball up right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Maxey bringing the ball up. And what's the point if Maxey's not kind of doing it at this junction of the season? Let him continue to try to learn. I mean, he did have 9 assists tonight. I don't know how, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
I agree. It feels like no one made a shot besides him and Buddy. And I guess, Oubre obviously scored a ton, but
it feels like they didn't move the basketball either. It was all right, there you go. Go do your thing. So I think Lowry, yeah, sure, maybe last 2 minutes of a game, but I want to see how he looks first, and I would give Maxey and Hield or Maxey and Melton, or like I wonder if they'd start Melton when he gets back, and then the bench unit is Lowry and Hield. But I think if Hield's going like this, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know how you not have him in the game in the final few minutes either. Like I am still scarred by Melton basically costing them a title last year by missing all those threes against Boston. Yeah. I mean, and you know what's funny? Like I was thinking about this a few minutes ago when you said something about this team and like their chances. Like it's kind of just luck in the second round. Like if they can just get there and they can get past like game 5, like from there on out, it's like you just have to hope the calls go your way and you have to hope the shots go in. And I think what they've done with this team is, and it's a massive if, and I still think like I am skeptical about it. But if Embiid does come back and if he is MVP Joel and if they, make it out of the first round or whatever, like they do have a bunch of guys, like they just do. Like and they might not be as good as the Celtics or whatever, but there's no great team out there. And the one thing that comes with the rational confidence, and I think Kyle Lowry brings that too. Like, would it surprise you if Kyle Lowry scored like 18 points in a playoff game and it was like, like the fans are going, wow, he's back home from Philly. Like it feels like it's going to go that way. And that is one thing I like about what they did is it does like the roster is better for as like upsetting as it was emotionally and like as pissed as people were they traded Pat Bev. They are better than they were 2 weeks ago, like minus the Embiid thing, obviously, but just from a pure roster, like they are better.
Yeah, I'm just curious where like, I mean, obviously this is, our last podcast was maybe a strong overreaction to whatever just happened.
It's good to be emotional. Yeah.
And then maybe tonight's a little bit of
the other way
course corrector.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, Bucks haven't looked great with Doc. Now they're blowing out the Nuggets tonight, so that's cute. But like the Cavs for the 2 seed, and I don't care that they won 9 straight or whatever. Like I would, if Embiid's back, they feast on that team.
I agree. They beat the Cavs in 5 with a healthy Embiid. They beat the Cavs in 5.
So it's really just the Celtics, and then I still think the Pacers are good, but that's it.
I mean that's just because you have a future on them. But I also I know plus 5,000. Yeah, you said it. But I do I do think the Pacers are good. So
although they did lose to the Hornets tonight.
Oh, did they? Man, it's so funny how much I flip. Like I was so out on this team 4 days ago, and now we're sitting here being like, well, the Pacers and so look at their upcoming schedule. I was doing this earlier today. I actually went and wrote win-loss for the rest of their games this season.
Wow.
Yeah. Big win-loss.
Why?
I don't know. I was bored. Dude, it's wild how much free time I have now that the Eagles season is over. Like today was a bit of a, extreme example because I didn't really do anything during the day. We're not recording till night, but I miss the Eagles. Like I'm ready for the Eagles to be back and have Eagles in my life.
Well, it just ended, so.
No, I know it's a while. Yeah. All right. So here's their upcoming schedule. Listen how brutal this is. So Cavs tonight, which I will say I had as a loss. Obviously, they won the game. Heat, Knicks, Cavs, Bucks, Boston, Charlotte, Dallas, Brooklyn. They get Memphis, New Orleans, which is a nice little break. But then Knicks, Bucks.
Well, New Orleans isn't a break, by the way.
Not a break, but I'm saying like it's not an Eastern Conference playoff team that they're playing. I just the point I'm making is if you look like out of their from now until April 4th, there is like maybe 4 easy games on the schedule. And I think that's the concerning thing. Like, and that's why they really needed a win tonight. Because if you would have lost this one tonight, now Miami, who knows if Jimmy's going to play. But then you have the Knicks, who I believe won tonight, or at least were winning last time I looked.
They're still playing.
Okay. The Cavs again at home. But then you have the Bucks, the Celtics, like the Mavs, who smoked them last time. The Knicks twice, Bucks. Like, then you go west, Phoenix, LA, Sacramento, LA. Like, they do have a really tough stretch coming up. And my concern with
this is a ridiculous run.
It is, isn't it? This is what I'm saying. Like when I had them only winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I had 8 and 18, I think is what I had them. But obviously I was wrong about the Cavs. So, that's one that I didn't think they'd win. But just watching this team tonight, like it was a great win and it was a super like fun game and it like restored some life into like my believing in this team. But this team is not surviving this stretch. Like they're going to need other teams to continue to falter. Like the Knicks have lost a few in a row. Again, we're recording this while they're playing. I don't know what that outcome's going to be. The Bucks have been on a bit of a, obviously not as good with Doc, but they're smashing the Nuggets tonight, like you said. The Cavs lost, but they were 17-1. Like they are going to need other teams around them to really create her. Because I just don't see a world where with Embiid, you like finish 500 against the schedule.
Well, the good part is if we want to play win-loss in the Sixers schedule is, I mean, you got to factor in their last 5 games. Grizzlies, Spurs, Pistons, Magic, Nets. Like,
yeah, that'll be a good run into the play-in.
sounds like prime Embiid territory for getting healthy.
Yeah,
hey, you know what we call that? That's get right time.
Get right. Well, it's like when the Eagles had, the Cardinals and the Giants twice. It was like, well, at least you have those 3 there. Like Dallas.
Yeah. And then what happened?
It didn't end well. I don't know if you remember that.
No, it did not end well for the team. So, it's going to be a brutal stretch. And like, I mean, tonight was fine. They still almost blew it, even though they're up 10 with like a minute and a half left.
Yeah. I was so sure that Garland 3 was going in, by the way. Like when it kicked out wide.
Not to always make this about gambling, but I did have Garland 4 threes, so there's definitely a part of me that was like,
yeah, kind of hoping it would go in, kind of hoping. Yeah.
Well,
it would have been a win-win for you.
It's one of those things where, like when you're gonna lose a bet. So it was like, I don't know, early fourth quarter, he comes off a screen, he drains a 3, Max gets called for a foul, but they wave off the 3. And at that point, I was like, he's going to end with 3 threes because, anytime it goes in and out, it's over. You can just tell in NBA gambling. It's the easiest thing in the world. All right, so tough stretch. The Buddy Hield game. Kyle Lowry's here. What else is kind of hitting you before we close this whole thing out?
All right, so one last thing I was doing today. And I'm curious to do this exercise with you. Let me pull it up. So one concern I have with the Sixers, and I think tonight showed it a little bit, like just when you look at the box score, they're kind of getting something from everybody. They're not getting carried by one guy. My concern is with this team, and Buddy's filled that role a little bit, is that over a long stretch, they're just not going to have the best player in most games, and that's going to be hard. So I went through each team, like not each team, but like the top 10 in each conference, and debated if Maxey would be the best player on that team, or like how much of a difference it is. So I have them all right here, and we could do it quickly. But sure. The Celtics, obviously not, right? Cavs. Now, granted, he beat the Cavs tonight, but I would say no. Donovan Mitchell's better. Obviously, the Bucks. Jalen Brunson on the Knicks.
Do I think Maxey's better than Brunson?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I think he's better than everyone on the Magic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's that rookie from last year's name. I can't remember right now, but
Paolo
I don't think
Banchero.
Yeah, but he seems like MCW or just like a stat guy to me.
No, you know what he is? He's perfectly in between Jason Tatum and Jabari Parker. Like that's
that's a great point actually.
That's who he is.
The Pacers.
Is he better than Halliburton?
No.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler, no. The Bulls, now we're getting to the teams that don't really matter. But the Bulls, no. And then the Hawks, Murray and Trae Young.
He's better than both.
Interesting.
I'm not a huge Trae Young fan, but
yeah, you're not a big Murray.
I'd probably I think most teams would probably take Trae. I don't know. I'm not a big Trae Young guy.
My worry is Maxey might just be Trae Young, but he is less annoying looking than Trae Young, though. I will say.
Well, he's Trae Young again. Like just these guys that jack up random threes. It's not my favorite. And it feels like
Buddy Hield, but
welcome to Buddy Ball when he is
yeah, Buddy Ball.
All right. When he's just scoring.
I did the West for fun, but obviously not Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves. Obviously not multiple players on the Clippers. Is he better than James Harden? If you had to win one game, this is probably a bad James Harden question because
of his history.
Yeah, I think it's close.
It's close. I'd probably still go Maxey. I'm not just because of the age and I think it helps that he has Paul George and Kawhi around. It's tough. I would probably still lean Maxey.
All right, the Thunder, Shea, I think is obviously better.
Yeah, obviously Shea. Yeah.
The Nuggets, pretty close. I mean, you have Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon.
I'd still take Murray.
Yeah. The Suns, obviously, lots of players on there better. The Pelicans.
Well, the funny one about the Suns is Beal, but Maxey has surpassed Beal by that.
Yeah.
By now.
The Pelicans. I mean, Brandon Ingram, Zion.
No, I would much rather have Maxey than Zion.
Sure.
Probably. I mean, Ingram's probably better.
Yeah. The Kings, De'Aaron Fox, whatever. But the point I'm making with this exercise, we don't have to go through it with these teams anymore. The point I'm making is my concern long-term with this team is they're going to enter a lot of games with not having the best player on the court. And I think that's concerning.
Like this current stretch of games without
like Embiid. This current team without Embiid is going to enter almost every game they play with the other team having the best player in the game. And I think the NBA, it's a little like a quarterback. Like the team with the best player, the team with the best quarterback often wins. Now they beat the Cavs tonight, but I think if this current Sixers team played the Cavs in a series of 7, they would probably lose, or at the very least, it would be super close. The Cavs team would lose.
They would lose. They would lose the Cavs without Embiid.
I mean, look, they did win tonight. We have to put that out there. But I agree, would lose. They would lose.
I do. I will say it's good growth from you. Because I feel like if we did this podcast 2 months ago without Embiid, you'd be like, listen, like I know you, and I know you want to go super overboard that this team might actually really be something. It was a good win. That was exciting. I don't think it really changes much on the outlook of the season, other than like when Embiid gets back, him and Buddy are going to be really good together. But like, to get the contributions they got tonight is just not something not something I can bank on going forward.
Here's the only thing I would push back with you on. I think like until Embiid comes back, it doesn't matter how they win. Like every win is critical, and especially against the Cavs. So you were right. Like I don't think tonight changed my outlook on the season. Where I'm really feeling better is I'm feeling better about the trade deadline than I was prior to this game.
Sure.
But in general, like the concern still remains is they're just a bunch of guys right now, and it's really hard to win in the NBA when you're just a bunch of guys over a long stretch.
Yeah. Now, how good is Hield and Maxey together? Like that's better than not better than most teams, but like at least they have upside.
It's like a 7 seed. Buddy and Maxey has a 7 seed written all over it.
Yeah,
it does. But then the difference is if you add Embiid, like then things are very different. But
of course. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's they have a bunch of competent NBA players. It's good that they won tonight without Batum. They won tonight without some of their other veteran-y guys, and they are building depth right now for postseason, for future seasons, to have these young guys ready to go. The one guy who, and I was gonna kind of save this for the end. I have no idea what to make of him, but I like watching him play. And I hope he plays more. Is KJ Martin?
Yeah, I knew that's what you're gonna say. Yeah.
Like, because I agree. He's like 6'4". He looks like he's like 6'2".
And it feels like he plays like he should be like 6'9".
I know. Like he gets a ton of offensive boards. He like can jump out of the like the Sixers got so many like offensive boards tonight, just out of like pure athleticism. And KJ Martin like provides almost nothing shooting the basketball. But he has hustle. I mean, he hustles.
I agree.
I don't know. He's interesting. It was interesting the Suns like targeted him before the deadline, so maybe other teams around the league see something with KJ Martin. There's something there with him. I don't know what it is because he's like a small shooting guard kind of body type that
he's a weird body shape for his game.
But he provides energy and he goes after the boards, and I don't know. It's been interesting. But they have a lot of guys like that. Like it's tonight, at least for me, maybe curious to tune in for a lot of games for the rest of the year because there's a lot of, again, like the process. It's like, is this guy something? Is Ricky Council something? Is KJ Martin something? What is the Buddy Hield experience like? That's what tonight did for me, and it makes me like. Obviously, I was going to watch every game regardless.
Right.
But
it makes you excited for the next game. Buddy's an exciting player. Buddy's
exciting when he's hitting his threes.
Yes. Yeah. But the idea he can hit his threes is what's exciting. All right. So I have 2 more things, one of which is a question and one is like a promotion thing. We should definitely remind the people March 1st, 3 weeks from now, the next Clap Your Hands event. The first one was a ton of fun. We had some listeners come out. It was fun to meet you guys. And I think the March 1st game is a really good one, if I'm not mistaken. Is it the Bucks? Is it? I feel like I just had the schedule up. It's the Hornets, so it's not a good game.
It's a big one, though.
Yeah, it's a big one. It could be for the play-in, yeah. But it'll be fun. Come to McGurk's in Fort Washington. It'll be a blast.
McGurk's is the greatest. So
McGurk's really is the greatest, by the way.
Yes.
Like hanging there we were there, I think, for 4 hours, and it flew by. It really did. Like it was one of those things where I wish I didn't drive so that I could have hung out with people a little more.
Plus the food's really good.
The food is really good. Yes. All right. So here's my question before we wrap this up. And James, feel free to jump in on this one if you'd like. So, all right. Barstool is doing this thing where they're trying to hit 41 straight free throws. It's the NBA record. And they can't leave the gym until they hit 41 straight free throws. Here's my question for you. How long do you think it would take the three of us to hit 41 straight free throws? But all of us have to make some. Like, it's not like I can't just make all of them. Like, we'd have to set some type of thing. But
so like I make 10 in a row, then I have to give you 10, and then
correct. James would make like 21
0.
or whatever. Yes. But when you miss, you go. But when you miss, you go back to 0. Like you have to hit 41 straight.
I don't know, like 3 days. It'd probably take us to.
Like it would take a while, right? Like I think if I got in a groove, I could maybe hit like 12 straight if I really.
I think the most I made was like 22 straight, and that was about it.
Like I would be curious to see like you make 22 straight free throws.
Dude, do you not know that I'm like an absolute bucket? Or no?
No, you don't strike me as a bucket. I feel like I seem like I would be a bucket. Like I think like if you asked the general population what my game would be like, I think they would compare me to like a Buddy or an Iverson or something like that, a Devin Booker.
Well, I guess
Zach LaVine, honestly.
I guess I need to. Well, first off, if you can compare my game, I have never related more or think of myself more of an NBA player than Georges Niang. Like that.
I know. Yeah.
That is me, dude. Just strict threes, moves the basketball, makes a smart pass, defense.
Looks like he doesn't lift. Like I'm sure he's very strong, but I feel like he looks like how I think I look when I feel out of shape.
No, I feel like that I look like no, but like, dude, I set a 3-point record at the Bloomsburg Rec. Like this is
all right.
This is no joke.
Okay, here's what I love about this. You think the Wilt 100-point game didn't happen because they probably weren't keeping score, but the Bloomsburg Rec has such a strong kind of like stat keeping thing going on that you're positive you set the record there.
I'm pretty sure. I made that up a while ago, and I've just ran with it since.
I like
it. But the key is you have to say it with a lot of confidence. Either way,
who's the starting 5 at WIP?
So see, Ike, because he will force his way on there.
I mean, Ike is probably the most athletic at the station. Like, is it even a question?
Yeah, I mean, me, him.
I think I'm definitely a starter.
I think you're in there. I don't know.
I think I definitely am. I would be hard pressed.
Are you a point guard?
Yeah, I would be the main ball handler.
I think Richie played high school basketball.
Okay, Richie. So that's 4.
So Richie's on there. Is the camera bringing the ball?
No, I don't think the camera is not good at basketball.
There's no shot.
No Julio.
Hugh doesn't strike me as a basketball player. Like, doesn't strike me as.
Hugh, I feel like would be like Charles Barkley, but like Rockets Charles Barkley.
Aggressive on the boards.
Yeah, like he would get a lot of rebounds.
The round mound of rebound. Hugh Douglas. I would need to get back in better shape.
What about 100%. James? James Seltzer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think James can dribble a basketball.
He would be. I'm trying to think of what NBA player I would compare James to. Like,
I feel like
it would almost kind of be like Pat Bev with but with the Bobby Portis like eyes.
That's very, very kind. I feel like he dribbles a basketball with the palm down.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Like that's how you dribble a basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe some of the young, like, can you imagine Kyle Quinn, like getting out there?
Kyle Quinn's probably definitely trash at basketball. What about
I feel like Kyle Quinn's got a sneaky feistiness to him.
He's definitely a guy that is like all hustle. He gets a rebound and goes like this, but then can't do anything.
Come on, dude.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We'll have to make it happen one day.
Yeah. Mark's always like wanted to say he would like cook me in basketball. I was like,
no, there's no way Mark's is good at basketball. Didn't Mark's grow up in Roxborough?
No, he grew up in Willow Grove.
Okay, he strikes me as a little Roxborough guy. No offense to Roxborough people, but
right, who would ever?
Roxborough doesn't strike me as a basketball haven.
Yeah. What about TK? Is TK? Get in the
No,
mix.
TK, no, I don't think TK would make it.
TK's our center.
I think I think the person who would be like surprisingly effective is maybe Dan Wilson. Kind of tall, still young.
No shot.
I don't. Okay.
Ben Kenny.
Ben Kenny would be. Yeah, well, I already said Ben Kenny.
No. Back in the day, they used to have a WIP basketball team. Do you know who the point guard was and who was actually like nasty? I'm talking like 90s, 2000s, early 2000s.
Okay. I mean, I'm guessing it's not Gargano or Glenn Mack now. Oh, Rob Ellis.
No, although I feel like Rob Ellis runs a good point guard.
Dude, I bet Rob runs like the most like people will be watching and be like, "This is how the game's supposed to be played." Like,
100%, dude.
Rob runs it. Yeah.
Robbie was born to coach high school basketball in Indiana.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, or one of like the Cardinal Doherty, like one of those.
Yeah,
like,
dude. 100%.
Roman, like, yeah. 100%. All right, who was it?
No, Jody Mack.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Jody Mack is from what I heard, the Mo Cheeks of the WIP basketball league.
I mean, look, shout out to Jody. I would be very surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently he was like he was a point guard in his high school team that went to states. Like,
who else was on this WIP team?
I think Rob Cherry was on it.
I can see Rob's pretty tall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see basketball skill.
No, but I think we're not playing against talented people, so I feel like the physical advantage is really what we're looking for.
Yeah, I don't know.
To find out. I'd be down to do a WIP team.
Can you see Angelo? I mean, Angelo's probably the center.
Everyone's passing it to him.
Yeah. Justin Morgenstein checks in and says he's getting a bucket on anyone at the station. And you know what Justin looks like?
Not
Justin
big.
Looks like
I'm bigger than Justin. Yeah.
Justin looks like a soccer player trying to play basketball. You know what I mean?
How old's Justin?
20. Has to be 24.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Hey, he doesn't strike like he's in like great shape to me. Like I'm sure he's like
good shape.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't. Does he strike you as like super fast?
Oh, dude, hold on. Caleb, the new kid, Caleb Flieger, was a Division III basketball player. I forgot he's on.
All right, is Caleb the one that does the production at the Eagles games?
He's the one that looks like me.
Yes, I don't think he looks like you, but I know who you're talking about. He does. He was at the Eagles pregame.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he looked like you at all. But I guess he has a similar body type as you, but he doesn't have a similar face.
No, of course. I mean, not many people do.
But just saying, if I had to compare your body.
I'm trying to decide if I want to shave or not, speaking of my face. But
I was actually thinking that, though, because I have this going on.
Yeah, but Caleb was a Division III basketball player before he went back to LaSalle, so he's probably in our starting five.
What school did he play at?
I forget.
I mean, it's Division III.
It doesn't. That's below Bloomsburg. That's Sirianni level.
Yeah, I feel like I could play Division III.
Technically, I'm more qualified, player-wise, to run the Phillies than Nick Sirianni is to run the Eagles.
All right, here we go. 215-592.
Just like the point.
This is where we sign off. Yeah.
I played Division II. Okay, he was the Division III.
He was. That's a good point. You should bring that up to him if the next time he calls in the afternoon show.
All right. Well, this has been a long stream it's good. You know, sometimes you got to break it up. Fun win tonight. Come hang out with us March 1st at McGurk's in Fort Washington. Clap Your Hands is always presented by Coors Light. We will be enjoying those at McGurk's on March 1st. The Sixers might have saved the season tonight and saved our sanity. So that's the most important thing that happened tonight. And thanks to everyone that checked us out. Leave us a review, review, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts. Help us grow the show. Grow the show is what we say. For Jack Fritz and Elliot Shore Parks, this has been another edition of Clap Your Hands.